What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hangout Spot where you already know it's real talk, boxing talk. Live from my man cave, it's your boy Johnny, and let's talk boxing because today I have a very, very special guest. And anybody that knows me knows that in the world of boxing, I am captivated by the father-son trainer combination. I mean, I think it's very, very unique. And today my guest is another father and coach that I admire. In fact, he is the father of the assassin, Brian Norman Jr., who is 26-0, 20 knockouts, and he is the WBO welterweight champion of the world. His last performance, and my thing is, if you have not seen Junior fight, do yourself a favor and check him out, especially that last performance, because it was special, man. He knocked out an undefeated fighter, Giovanni Santillan, in the 10th round to become the interim WBO welterweight champion. And a couple of days ago, he was elevated to the full champion when Terrence Bud Crawford vacated his title. So I think it's safe to say that the future is extremely bright, and I'm excited to have this gentleman on as a guest. Without further ado, I'm going to bring him in. And I just want to say what's up to head trainer Brian Norman Sr. What's going on, my man? Welcome to the Hangout Spot, man.
What's up, boss? What's going on, man? What's going on? Everything good?
Everything is good, man. It's a pleasure to have you on, man. I appreciate the time, man. And first and foremost, congratulations, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
Elevated
it very
to full champion now, man. You are a championship trainer. You are officially a championship trainer, man. How does that feel?
Man, it feels surreal. The whole thing, everything about everything you was just saying, even in the introduction, just don't seem real. It seems surreal. You know what I mean? I know it's true. I lived it and everything else, but it just don't seem real. But it is what it is.
Listen, more importantly, not only are you living it, but you guys have earned it, man. And You've done it the hard way. I've been following Brian Jr. for a minute. And just to give my viewers a little bit of context, man, the last fight, he was fighting against an undefeated guy, Giovanni Santillan, a guy who was coming off a 6-round KO over Alexis Rocha, who was highly touted in the welterweight division. And not a lot of people knew who Brian Jr. was before this fight, coach, but now they know who he is. You feel me? Like, he went out there and he just, he demolished Santillan, man. And much props. The crazy part about that is that I'm not surprised he won, but I'm kind of surprised in the fashion that he did, coach, because he fought Santillan's fight. And Brian didn't even have to do that. I mean, because Brian is a boxer, he's a mover, he's a puncher. Right. I mean, Brian is the type of fighter that could do he could basically do it all. But he fought Santillan's fight. And for those who've never seen Santillan fight, I mean, he's a phone booth type fighter, tough guy, Mexican style. He's a little dirty. He's a little dirty in the trenches. But, man, Junior just took it to him, man. How do you feel about that performance? Was that the game plan going in?
Like I said, the game plan switched. I had a completely different game plan the whole count. The game plan switched. It was like some of him, some of me, but I thought about it and I went, it was all, first of all, got to give thanks to God or whatever else, because that's really who guided everything, like, seriously. Even from him getting knocked down and looking vulnerable and them even giving him the opportunity, I think that was just all God's plan, you know what I'm saying? To get him where he was going earlier than it would have took him, because I don't believe nobody in their right mind would have took a fight with B if he hadn't got dropped and had a look lackluster in a performance or two before that. So, then again, he came back in extremely dominant fashion and did what he had to do. Now, as far as the game plan was to just really pop, move, box the shit out of him, because I had studied Giovanni so much. I knew what he could do. I knew what he couldn't do. I knew all of his weaknesses, like I had him down to a T. And even and he exposed some of that even in this fight. If you go back and I can point it out to you, he exposed some of that, but he didn't want to. He didn't want to expose that. And, I did realize right before the fight, like, what we missing in your previous performances is that excitement, actually, putting them things on people. Like, what I'm saying? We got a new model, putting fist to face, what I'm saying? And again, I wanted him to do some of that and box. B chose to he just wanted to fight him. He said, I want to fight this fight. I want to take it from him. I want him to let him know that I'm better than you in every way. You know what I'm saying? So again, let's not downplay Alexis Rocha, the guy that Santillan beat. With Alexis Rocha, the Olympian, and everything else or whatever, he went in and he demolished Rocha, my son comes back and demolishes him. You understand? So I mean, it was a beautiful thing. He just came back and he said he just wanted to fight him. He wanted to fight him mano a mano. He didn't want no questions. He didn't want people saying, "Well, if you'd have did, if you know," he didn't want none of that. He just wanted to beat him up.
And that's exactly what he did, man. He imposed his will. I was thinking that maybe he fought that type of fight because Giovanni was kind of dirty in that fight.
Giovanni was very dirty in the fight. We did not expect that at all. One thing I liked about Giovanni, but that goes towards how proud I am of my son. We didn't see that coming. He was never dirty. He was never dirty in any other fight that I watched him. And again, I tell anybody, I watched him more than anybody else. That's just what I do. I watch the fighters. I know what, like I said, I know what they can't do. I know that. I watch their feet. I watch everything. He was never a dirty fighter. He was never the type to hold people. He was never the type to clinch. I loved all of that about Giovanni. So when he came in and did what he had, when he did all that against my son, hit behind the head. He was hit behind. There's 4 things he did: hit behind the head, shoulder bumps to the face, forearms to the neck and the face. And pushing his head, the top of his head in my son. That's not how he even fights. So that let us know the desperation and what he was willing to do and go through to actually beat my son. And it didn't work. He pulled out all the stops. He had the referee warning my son, saying my son was holding. Even Giovanni, after a while when he was getting beat up, he started holding. I knew we had him then because I never seen him hold. Periodically, you'll see somebody grab him to hold him, and he'll just let his hands dangle like, let me go, let me go. He never initiated a hold in not one fight I seen him in.
Wow. Yeah, I caught that, and I was thinking when I was watching that fight, Coach, that was probably why Brian Jr. showed that emotion at the end with that knockout, man. Like he was right over him like this. Like what?
It was beautiful to me. It was poetry in motion. It's crazy how some of the people was mad and upset. I'm like, well, damn, how you mad? Were you mad and upset when he was hitting my son behind the head? And we all know what that causes. We've seen people get put in wheelchairs for that. We've seen this guy. We're watching a dirty fighter right in our face. He's shoving the top of his head in my son's face like it was clear. My son was having to push his head off and punch. So I mean, but again, man, you know, people see what they want to see and they want what they want. It was just, to me, it was just the fact that people just didn't want my son to win for whatever reason, however reason. You know, everybody just, you know, hey, people got their own reasons or whatever, but it doesn't matter. You can't fool God's plan. What's God got for you, you can't nobody take it from you, man.
Absolutely, man. That's what I like about Junior, man. Like I said, he liked to fight. He's very, very soft spoken. He's opposite of his dad, obviously.
He's really not. He's really not. That's what a lot of people don't know about him. He's really not. He's really just like his daddy. It's just submerged, and it's to an extent that I always told him, you don't talk. This is when he was young, because he's been beating up grown men since he was like 15 years old. That's no exaggeration. I've always told him, when they talk shit to you, you don't say nothing to these grown men. You live, because if they say something to him, I'm gonna fuck them up. You know what I mean? So, and these are grown men that he's spawned and everything else. Like I've even had to jump on the ring on. It's a pro fighter right now today. I've had to jump in the ring on a fighter and his father. And the fighter was a grown man. You know, he hit my son behind the head when the round was on. Like, what the fuck? But I've always told him, don't say that. So that maybe that's part of it. So maybe he just used to really not saying shit and just doing the talking with his hands or whatever else. But I can tell you, the private Brian is just like his daddy.
Wow. All right. That was good to hear, man. That's a little surprising, because I said, you see a different person, you know, obviously, you know, before the fights. And that's one of the reasons why, like I said in my intro, Coach, you know, the father-son trainer combination, I mean, it captivates me. It really does, because there's a special bond there. There's a special love, you know, that a father is going to have with his son, you know, bringing him up through the ranks. And obviously you've made it known. And shout out to my boy Ness at the Boxing Voice, because you've been on there a couple of times. And, you know, and like I said, you are extremely confident in Junior, as you should. But you've also made it clear that it's been tough. You know, it's been tough because, like I said, Brian Jr. really hasn't had that spotlight as some of the younger fighters have coming up the ranks, right? He had to do it the hard way. Tell me about that. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, when did you realize when did you realize that you had a future champion?
I realized I had a future champion when he was about 16 years old, 15, 16. I really did. I knew I had a future world champion then. Like he could be, again, about the legendary sparring sessions, he sparred Tank at 16. He got off on Tank at 16. Like, I knew what he was back then. You know what I mean? I knew. That's why you see me speak with so much confidence. I can't speak this way and fall flat on my face. That would be the worst thing ever. That's how confident I am at him. Of course, things happen. Again, it's by design, whatever else. But I know for a fact who he is and what he is. I know what he will allow and what he won't allow. You know what I mean? So I know nobody is going to beat him. Like, nobody's going to beat him up. That's never going to happen. Like some people saying, a certain fighter named Boost Ennis is going to beat him up. You have no fucking clue. Nobody's going to beat him up. That's not going to happen. He's not going to sit and let that happen for 5 rounds, 6 rounds, 7 rounds. That's not, especially not with me in the corner cussing his ass out. That's just not going to happen. Nobody has the ability and the skills to beat him up. The only way I ever see a loss coming, it won't be an embarrassment for me. The only way I can ever see a loss coming is you get caught by something, because anytime you throw punches, it's always a chance for her to get caught. I wouldn't be embarrassed by that. People get caught all the time. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you're going to have that first initial thing, but it's not an embarrassing moment, especially not for a fighter. To another fighter, they understand. If you as a fighter, if you laugh at that, you just really asking for it to happen to yourself. So that won't be embarrassing for me, because that's not a skill thing. It's just you got caught with a good shot. Or the only other way I can see him possibly losing is if somebody runs and take a dumbass, get a robbery, or somebody run and just box and pick a ugly ass fight. And I really can't see them. I can't see them beating him too, because he knows how to cut the ring off very well. He's well schooled and very well versed at every part of boxing. We have a design. We have a plan for every single style. Even if you change the style in the middle of the ring, in the middle of the fight, we would change our style also.
One question that I had that was, what's the difference relationship-wise between Brian Sr. and Brian Jr., the trainer, boxer, and Brian Sr., Brian Jr., the father's son?
At this point, it's all mixed up together as one, because that's what we always been. So it ain't no difference. See, that's my son. That's my son in the ring. That's my son in the gym. That's my son at home. That's my fighter in the gym. That's my fighter in the ring. That's my fighter at home. It's always been that way. Even before I used to call him my red nose pick. I got other kids. I used to call him, I used to talk shit to my friend. This is when he was little. Don't make me go get my red nose. I call my son my red nose pick. That was like 6, 7, 8 years old. I'm like, don't make me go get my red nose. So he's always been my little killer. He always been my little fighter. You know what I mean? He just always been that. So he's always been my son. He's always been my killer, my fighter. He's always been my dog, my home. He's been. That's my boy. Like, straight up.
That's what's up. Yeah. Do you ever envision anybody else training him for any reason?
Absolutely not.
I mean, because there has been fathers in the past. I remember Shane Mosley used to train his son, then all of a sudden, something happened there.
Understandable. That's very understandable. I hear all of that. I tell people this. And I say it with pride. I brainwashed my son. I brainwashed all of my kids. I do. I say it with pride. I do it in a good way and from a place of love, though. You know what I mean? I do it in a good way. I do it with all love. I brainwash them with the truth. I brainwash them with when, like I just told you, when we didn't have the fans, like before you brought me on the first time, and I told you I appreciate the genuine support. We never had that. So I brainwash him with the truth, as in I'm telling him, look at these people. Like, listen to all the boos. Look at where you at everywhere we went. I'm your biggest motherfucking supporter. You understand what I'm saying? I'm your biggest supporter. As long as you got me, we don't need nobody else. Which is how we get to a San Diego situation where you got you're in a 32-0 fighter in San Diego coming up the best performance of his career. his first time at a world title. We're talking about Giovanni Santillan now.
Mhm.
His first time at a world title, and it's understood. I felt bad for Santillan before the fight happened. I swear to God, I did. I felt
Really?
bad for him before it happened because I knew my son was gonna beat him. I knew he was gonna beat him. I knew. I felt bad for him before it ever happened because I know his story. I knew his story. I knew what he'd been through. I knew what he went through. Bottom line, back to the thing, I brainwashed my son to get us to that point. So when you get to that point, I let you know. I tell you right there. I said it in the ring before it started. That's from my other son in the corner. That's from one of my best friends, like my brother in the corner. That's from Adrian Clark, our manager, with the CEO of the management company in the grass, with everybody that was there. I said, you see all these people around us, you see all these people, you see all the love that we got. This is from our little set, our people, because we didn't have no love outside of the people we brought with us. I said, even outside these motherfuckers right here, I want you to. This is in the ring. This is during the announcement. I'm telling him, I said, I want you to remember, it was always just me and you. It was always just me and you. So if I'm the only motherfucker you ever needed, and you always won your nationals, you always won all of that with just me. Now you got a little more support. Take that shit with you. As you've seen, he played that shit with fine colors, man. We don't have a problem with that.
I love it, man.
And that's how I brainwash him. So back to the ultimate question of, do I see somebody training him, or no, I do not. We've already. I don't want to be long-winded on that, but I just got to tell you, we've already had a situation where I tried to bring someone in, and they had their own little ways of thinking and saying or whatever, and they kind of went against me, and they kind of had my son on the hook for a second, and my son was kind of challenging me about certain things for a second. And then as soon as that person was gone, my son still had those thoughts, but I proved certain things to him, and I had to show him and brainwash him again and explain to him why I'm the motherfucker you need to listen to. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. I tell him, who did you go win 6 nationals with? Nobody but me. Who did you go, you know what I'm saying? Who did you go whoop, XYZ ass with upper level fighters with? Who taught you and trained you to do everything you did? Who gave you the game plan that gave you, this is his sparring and shit? Who gave you these game plans? Me. So I brainwash them with the truth. You know what I mean? Some people call it cocky, some people call it whatever you want. But if the proof is in the fucking pudding, it's in the pudding. He's a 23-year-old world champion. You will not find, I think Van Rodriguez is the next one up. You will not find a younger world champion in boxing today. He's a 23-year-old world champion. You will not find a younger champion today.
Coach, you a pastor right now because you preaching. You preaching, man. I am here with head trainer Brian Norman Sr., the father and trainer of the WBO welterweight champion Brian Norman Jr., the assassin. Let's pivot a little bit, Coach. Let's talk about now some options, because now it's a little different. Instead of being the hunter, Brian Jr. is the hunted now, right? So this is a unique.
You might just watch that interview yesterday.
Right? I do my research, Coach. Now you the hunted, and things are different. You got all these names that are getting thrown out.
We're not being hunted. We're not being hunted. That's what I'm looking at. We're not being. I'm gonna tell you how we're not being hunted. What person that could fight us? What person that could actually fight us is hunting us? Name one person.
Well, I'm hearing rumors that Teofimo wants to step up and fight Brian Jr.
So do me a favor. You got ways where you can go pull it up and listen or whatever. When that question was first asked to my son, June the 8th, I'm giving dates now. When that question was first asked to my son, June the 8th, would he fight Teofimo Lopez? He gave Teofimo all the respect and the words. I would love to take that fight. I would take that fight. I would gladly introduce him to welterweight, blah, 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 woo, woo, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, Teofimo was interviewed after his fight with Claggett, I believe. I don't know if it was before or after his fight with Claggett. They asked him I know it was before or after, though. They asked him the exact same identical question. What do you think about a fight with Brian Norman? Teofimo said, and I almost quote, these are quotations. He did not say my name. He did not say my son's name. Well, what I think sounds swell is Teofimo, 3-division world champion by the age of 27. I think that's damn near verbatim. That sounds
Yes.
swell to me.
Yes, that's
Now,
what he said.
the world took that as Teofimo calling out Norman. No, the fuck he did not. No, he did not. This is coming from me knowing what was going on behind the scenes. We were hunting Teo. We were looking for Teo. We are waiting for answers. We are waiting for this date to get set. September the 27th was supposed to be the date. We will wait on, yes, let's get this happen. Let's make this happen. Let's do this. We'll wait on Top Rank. He lost his date on the 27th because of ducking. Yes, I'm saying it here, ducking my son. He lost that date. I don't believe he's fighting no more this year. He lost it because of that. So this is not something that I can do that what I'm saying can make a difference. It's Teo. He did it to himself. He did not hunt my son. It was bullshit. He went ghost on Top Rank. He stopped responding to Top Rank. He stopped responding to Top Rank when they asked him about fight my son. Stop responding, never responded. Then all of a sudden he comes out the blue. And he does a interview with Mill City. Shout out to Mill City at the Canelo presser. And he says, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm hearing about." Oh, I'm sorry. Let me. I gotta take it back just a little bit. I gotta take it back just a tad. Joe Chiambo was in his corner, and I would have never called Joe Chiambo name out about this, but I gotta do it now. Joe Chiambo, he met me back when I was fighting. He was in the corner of Edwin Rodriguez when I fight him back in like 2011, 2010. So he knew me from back then. Never had beef, never had problems, never had shit. So as we're in the process of trying to make this Teo fight happen and just really get confirmation of what's going to happen or not, that's really what we was looking for. It wasn't even being pressed like it is now. So that's what we was looking for. So as I'm trying to do that, I go to Chiambo page on IG. I'm like, yo, Joe, tell we want to smoke. We want, you know what I'm saying? I'm actually looking for an answer. He double tap, I guess, like my message. And he goes, I'm asking the question. He go about his business. Okay, cool, but shit. He make a post about Teo. He say where we were then. He posted Teo in 2016. Where we are now, how it's going now. He posted a picture of Teo with the belts and shit in 2024. Fine. Teo comments on that post. I go under Teo name. Putting eyeballs. Where we at? You know what we got going on, Teo. You know what we're trying to do. All of this is before the interview with Mill City on Canelo. Then the motherfucker come out. So now I'm mad about it. That's why I'm calling him a motherfucker and everything else. So then the motherfucker come out with Mill City and say, well, I mean, I never knew about the fight. Listen to what he say. I never knew about the fight. I even got a video with my buddy talk to him. I never knew about the fight. I mean, Norman's team, they never expressed interest. I've been screaming this shit on every interview. My son screamed it on ESPN, the same network. And before the fight, after the fight, it's been on everything. It's been everywhere. Top Rank said it, and now you're telling me that you wasn't sure that we actually wanted to fight. You didn't hear my team. You didn't hear his team say nothing. You know what I mean? He does not want this fight. He does not want this fight. But what I'm gonna do, only because he called us out. So I don't want people to think that my son, and I hate being long-winded. I hate doing that shit. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep pressing this shit because of the way it was handled. He called my son out first, meaning he didn't, but his team did. He went with Top Rank, and I think they had a whole agenda. He didn't call out my son first, but they had an agenda of Teo moving up to do that. I don't know if they were saying Santillan up, and my son just came in to forward the plans or what. But there was clearly an agenda for him to do that with the WBO. And that's why Top Rank, you heard Bob Arum pushing it on 2 or 3 interviews before Teo fight. Everybody was pushing for that. So that fight came to us. We didn't come to that fight. My son would have never called on nobody at 140 for what? It don't make sense. Yeah, the fight was thrown to us. You know what I mean? But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Like I said, from this point on, my job is to press Teo all the way till he look like a real pussy. I'm gonna press it all the way to the mat. I'm serious. I'm gonna press him. I'm gonna press him all the way till he looks like the biggest coward, or he takes the fight.
I hear that. Listen, you're right. I saw that interview and I kind of took it as he's got to be talking about Brian Jr. because he's been chirping about trying to get a fight with Terrence Crawford, and we all know, Coach, that ain't gonna happen.
He just running his fucking mouth, bro.
Right. So I figured Brian Jr. is a more realistic option. I'm still kind of leery about him moving up, to welterweight to face a natural, gifted welterweight. But if that fight was to happen, what happens, Coach?
I'm gonna say
it's tough, man.
I'm gonna say this first. I got to be real. Father-son situation. I do respect, and I've always said that. I said this from the beginning. I do respect Teofimo as a fighter. I respect the father-son, the T.O., man, to the end, man. And he took it. I mean, especially the fact that his father didn't even fucking box had nothing to do with that shit. Like, that's amazing. That's tremendous. Like, my hats off to him. Like, congratulations. All congratulations to him. All respect to him. But I look at it like, I watch both of them talk mad shit, plenty shit about everybody else. It seems to be very hard for them to talk shit about us. It seems I mean, how hard is it to say, yeah, I'll beat that motherfucker, I'll beat the man on the Saturday, I'll be, whatever you got to say. Say what you got to say, let's make the fight happen. I hear unsureness. And I guess I'm hearing unsureness based on the other things that I know behind the scenes, like I said, him disappearing, him not speaking, and him reappearing saying that he didn't even know we wanted to fight. When I'm knowing behind the scenes, I'm reaching out to everybody. I reached out to even people in my DM. You know what I mean? I mean, people was reaching out from his team in my DM, and I even responded to them. Like, this is not. I just hate how they handling it. That's all. We just trying to get that work, and if we can't get that work from him, because I understand the game go out. My bad. Actually, the point I was making about respecting the father-son, I'm sorry, my phone kept ringing, so it threw me off. The point I was trying to make about the father-son situation is, to be honest with you, to be real with you, I wouldn't, if Teofimo was my son, I would not let him fight Brian on. I would. I'm just being real. Teofimo is a little guy. He's not a big guy. I even talked to my son about it. Like, for example, you got a David Benavidez. My son spars people weighing up to 175, 185 all the time. I wouldn't put my son in the ring with fucking David Benavidez. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, you're being honest, yeah.
Right. It's certain things that just don't make sense. You know what I mean? So, I mean, of course, just like what Tank did with Barrios, he knew what the fuck he was doing. He moved up and he fought the weakest link in Barrios. He found a champion. He found a champion in Barrios who the world didn't even fucking really know at the time. He made Barrios into a name by beating him. And he got a title at 140. And then it went back down and went to screaming about how he was too small for 140. Now, and some people, you can say that's smart, and some people, you can say you're a duck, or just call it like what it is. I was an opportunist, and I took advantage of an opportunity.
It's the business of boxing. It's the business of boxing. Yep, absolutely.
So again, right. So there was a weak link at 140 that I knew I could beat. I came and beat that, and I beat him. I got the belt. I got that on my resume now. Now I'm gonna go back where the fuck I belong. Brian Norman, a fighter like Brian Norman, or the way he just performed his last fight, I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that for the world, not for what I know. I'm gonna say it from what the world know, because the world has seen I think a couple of lackluster performances from Brian Norman. The Brian Norman that just came off of what he came off of, that's not the motherfucker you go fight next. I'm just being real. That's not the motherfucker you just said. You know what? No, that's not him. You don't go fight him.
I can respect that. But listen, even if a TO fight doesn't happen, there's plenty of food in this 147-pound buffet. You got Boots. Obviously, that's a big fight. Do you ever see maybe potentially a fight with Boots happening? I know there's some familiarity with you guys there, right?
Absolutely a fight. Absolutely with Boots will. If Boots want to be undisputed at 147, the fight absolutely will happen.
What do you tell the people who think Boots is the best 147-pounder?
Then they gonna motherfucking find out they absolutely wrong. He's not the best 140. I'm positive with this. It's not even the. And again, Boots is the goods. Let me say that. No, he's a very talented, very good fighter. Whatever. He is the goods. But I know what I know. I know what I know, and I know what's making him dominant in today's game, he won't even be able to do against my son. That I know for a fact.
Which
And
is?
he blasts. If you go look at him again, opportunists. If you come in and you're not ready, if you come in and you're just looking at him, he doesn't mind coming in and just hitting the gas on you and just blasting you out. He doesn't mind doing that. A lot of fighters are timid. A lot of fighters take the time to feel you out. Boots don't do that at all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So you mean if
he
somebody
don't take,
presses? So you mean if somebody presses him? Because usually a lot of fighters don't really press him. You mean if somebody presses him?
Exactly. Yeah, no. It's about the resistance that you give him. It's about the resistance that you give him. Nobody's giving him any real resistance. When David Avenesian I even saw it in David Avenesian fight. When David Avenesian started actually punching and catching him with some boots for that split second, though, it was only for a little while. Because I wanted to make sure, like I said, what I do is I study it real well. I study it real well to make sure I'm right about what I'm saying. So for that moment when he first called him and hit him with some first good shots, Boost calmed down from all of the just letting his hands flow and fly for a while. He stopped that until he realized he still had him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Until he realized that it was still far in between. David Avenesian was throwing those punches and those types of shit far in between. So then Boost went back to doing some of what he was doing, but he wasn't as reckless. He's very reckless. He's very reckless in the way he's fighting. It's like a Rashidi Ellis, very reckless. People don't understand. Like, I'm looking at the Madrimov fight and the Crawford fight, and I understand what's going on with what I'm looking at. If you understand boxing, they're looking for the other person to open up.
Right.
When you punch, you're open.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I did see that in the Bud Madrimov fight. It was a little different.
So people, you have to know what you're looking for. You got to know what you're looking at, and I know what I'm looking for, and I know what I'm looking at. So I tell people, at minimum, at least, because none of us know what all Boots has. I don't either. But I have seen him blast my son the first time they ever sparred when he was 19 years old, and I've also seen him lackluster than the motherfucker with my son. The rest of the 6 times they sparred after that, I'm talking. The work. I'm not saying here about his performance. I'm talking about as the entertainer that you would think that fight would be, between him and my son. The most unentertaining shit you could see in the gym. The shit was crazy. When he was in the ring sparring, it was everybody was looking. Everybody was this. Everybody was there. All eyes was on him. When my son was in the ring sparring, when my son was in the ring sparring, doing what he do, all eyes was on him. You would think it was crazy to me. Like I said, I didn't record any of it, so I had to remember everything in my head. And from what I remember, from what I know, and from what I did see from Boots and what I didn't see from my son, it ain't a doubt in my world he could beat him. It ain't a doubt in my mind that he could beat him. Not one fucking doubt.
I love
that man is human. That man is human, just like everybody else.
For sure, man. For
He's
sure.
human.
This is boxing.
And when you give him resistance, he's a regular fucking boxer, just like everybody else.
All right. Do you see Brian Jr. unifying? Is he interested in unifying the division?
Yeah, we're interested in going. We're interested in going undisputed, but that's where that whole situation with Boots come in, and that's where it get a little tricky. Is I'm thinking from a logical standpoint, and Boots and Bosey. I spoke with Bosey, Boots' daddy, who helped me out all the time and through the years or whatever. We're real cool. He called me and he said he wanted to fight us for undisputed, and of course I've said the same thing. We want to fight them for undisputed. So what we wanted to look to do was unify, because I mean they're the biggest talents in the welterweight division right now. I mean, to me that's clear, but that stands to be seen. So they want to unify with one, and we unify with one and meet somewhere in the end, just like Spencer Crawford did. And I have no problem with that at all. That's fine and dandy. But I think where the issue comes in that is with Stanionis and Barrios. I don't think they're trying to play ball. I don't really think they really want to play ball.
That was the question I was going to ask you.
Yeah, Stanionis offered. They called us right after my son won for a unification match. Stanionis' team called. We agreed. This is before the T.O. situation was offered. We agreed. It's fine, perfect, yeah. waiting on it. Then the Tio campaign came while we were waiting on the Stanionis answer. So then Tio thing was a big opportunity. Of course, yeah, we'll take that. Fine, yeah. All right, so now we're so busy waiting on Tio. We're waiting on that. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck Tio. He's some bullshit. Let's go back to Stanionis and see what they saying, because I'm asking my manager, have we heard anything from Stanionis? No, we heard shit. I said, who the fuck reached out to you? So she called him. She called him back. I think they had a date and everything else. They asked the question, would we take the fight? There was no official offer made. It was just asked, would we take the fight? Would we like to fight him? There was no money offer, no date offer, no nothing offer. It's just, would we be interested in taking the fight? The answer was hell yeah. And nothing else was said. So to me, I don't know what the hell that mean or what they saying. So I'm like, damn. So ask them, do they want to fight or not? Like, there was no answer. So Barrios, again, since Tank made him famous, I guess he Hollywood. But he did make his own way where he came through and beat Ugas, and he fought Thurman and lost. But other people say what they say. But he's been in with some names now, so he the biggest name of it, right? So he feel like he a cash cow. And I guess in his own right he is, just because he's who he's attached to, win or lose. But that's the bit, like you said, that's the business of boxing. That's just what we're dealing with at the moment. That's all.
Yeah, it's frustrating for us fight fans, man. I mean, we don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, but the only thing that we do see when fights aren't made, we're disappointed by it. But there is a business side of it, right? And I respect that, obviously. But at the end of the day, like I said, I think that Brian Jr., with any of these guys, Barrios, I mean, you got Stanionis, like you said, you got the number one contender for the WBO, Gilyasav. I think that would be a good fight as well. You got Conor Ben lingering around there. I mean, he's been chirping for a big fight for a long time. But it'd be nice to see him step up.
We would love to make that fight. We would love to fight Conor Ben. We would love to fight Alexis Roach. We would love to fight any name that we could get a hold to. We would love to fight Devin Haney. We would love to fight Blair Cobbs. Any name that we can get a hold to. Now, some of the guys like I named, like Blair Cobbs, ain't ranked no damn well. I think he ranked cardboard. I think he ranked in the ABC division or some shit.
Yeah, but coach, he could sell a fight.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. He's not ranked no fucking way. He's ranked on, like I said, he's ranked on the Lucky Charm box. That's his only ranking. You know what I mean? Ain't got nowhere near a fucking title. You know what I mean? But he think he big shit. But like you said, he could sell a fight, and he is coming off of that win against a 50-year-old AB.
50, yeah, I know, man. It's almost like why, man? Why is it?
But they don't. But unfortunately, and again, I understand the business of boxing too. Unfortunately, they don't want that work. They don't want that work for real. It's all It's all smoke and mirrors. They don't really want that work, and I understand it. My son is not big enough for that type of risk. You know what I mean? He's not big enough for that. Now, his only leverage is that world title. That's his only leverage. But I'm looking at it as in the only people that will fight each other are Boots and Brian. But they don't want to fight each other until Undisputed. So how the fuck do you get around this? I don't know. That's where I'm at a loss. How you try to see your direction. Yeah. I don't see the direction. I just don't see it. I don't know how it's gonna work.
I hear you, man. And that's why, that's what I love about you, Coach, because you keep it real. Either way, though, we can't expect realistically to see Brian Jr. back in the ring this year, right?
Oh, he fighting in November.
Oh, so you already have a date. You just don't have an opponent.
Yeah. We got a date. We got possible opponents, but none of them are notable names. You can go down to I think Gayasov just fought July the 31st, but we'll fight him. Shit, I don't give a shit about that. You know what I mean? You have to go down. I think it's Gayasov, then Jinsaki. I can't remember who else. Third, Derek Cuevas was one of them that was offered to us, but it's not a fun fight. That won't be. I don't think it will be an entertaining fight. He just like to fucking hit, hold, or do shit like that. It was a couple people who was looking at it or whatever, but you got to look at, like I said, this is only going to be for the hardcore boxing fans who actually know who people are. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're trying to do a breakthrough where you can break over to the casuals where you're associated with an actual name, even though they ain't done shit or won shit. Like Ryan Garcia, that motherfucker ain't never been a champion. but you couldn't tell a casual that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They don't know. As far
Absolutely.
as they know, Ryan Garcia is one of the best in the world. Hell, look at BoxRec. BoxRec got him ranked like what, number 2 in the fucking. That's why you can't even trust BoxRec. He's not even on the fucking real welterweight. Never fought at welterweight, but BoxRec got him ranked there like number 2 or 3 or somewhere high up there. Like, when you rank the fucking champions as at least 1, 2, 3, and 4, like that does. I mean, again, man, this shit it is what it is, man. It's just the
Nah,
world we live in. It's just the world we live in today.
I hear you, man. I feel you there. But listen, stay patient. You guys got a good thing going on. The future is extremely bright. And Coach, let my viewers and your fans know where they can find you and Brian Jr.
Oh well, if it's not even about me. I always said on every interview, I just would like people to reach out to my son, follow him. I'm unimportant. Official B. Norman on every platform. Official B. Norman. There's Brian the Assassin Norman Jr. He on his way. He making waves. We here to stay. We here to fight anybody at any fucking time. We ain't ducking no smoke. You know what I mean? It don't even really have to. I mean, of course, it got to make sense because our management teams are not going to sign up for certain things if it don't make sense. But we really will fight any fucking body.
I know you will, Coach.
Yeah,
I know you
we
will.
really just like to fight, man. You know what I mean? But of course, like I said, certain things just don't make any sense because, fortunately / unfortunately, you have a lot of money that has to be put up for world title fights because world title fights have minimums and certain things behind that. Ain't nobody gonna pay X amount of money for certain fights. Like, what the fuck is this? I'm not paying for that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure,
Right.
man. No, listen, man, I had an absolute blast. And for my viewers, if you're new to watching my videos, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. This is how we do it up here at the Hangout Spot. Coach, man, let me tell you something. I enjoyed this interview. It was a little rough with technical difficulties, but we get by. We champions, baby. This is how we do it up.
That's what we do, man. We get through by any means, man. By any means, we get
face
through
adversity and we duck and dodge it, and we still come out on top. Let me tell you something. One thing I will tell you, same thing I tell everybody else. Anytime you come on the Hangout Spot, you are family. And you are welcome back anytime. And again, appreciate you, Coach, for coming on, giving me that time. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we'll do it up again. And for my viewers, thanks for watching. This is your boy Johnny signing out from the Hangout Spot, and I'll talk to everybody soon.
All right, man. Peace.